Well, we're taking sort of a break.
I don't know. We're running back and forth is what we're doing.
Well, when you get out on the road, you get out on the road.
That's right.
We will get back to our expedition to Ely, but we wanted to show you guys the Evanston Train Show from last weekend.
Right.
So while we're out and about, we went to the Evanston Train Show.
That's right.
So let's check that out. The Evanston Train Show in the Evanston Roundhouse.
Yes.
We've shown you this roundhouse many times, but they've been working for years and years restoring this.
Right, and I never get tired of seeing it.
Oh, it's amazing. It's a slow and ongoing project, but my goodness, they're getting it done. The original roundhouse here was built as part of the 1869 Transcontinental Railroad.
Oh.
And the original plan was to build this roundhouse at Wasatch.
Oh, really?
Until they realized that the snow drifted bigger than the roundhouse there.
Right.
So they built it here at Evanston, and then very, very, very quickly outgrew it. This was great when they were running these small locomotives, but pretty soon they were running bigger locomotives all the way up to the big boy.
Oh, neat.
And so they needed a huge facility here. This was the top of the Wasatch grade. You know, the original name of big boy locomotive was the Wasatch locomotive.
Oh.
Because this was the grade it was designed to climb.
Nice.
Anyway, as a major railroad terminal, Evanston just really took off.
Right.
And look at this, very early on, building Evanston out, it became quite a community.
It was, yes.
And everyone thought it was going to be a really big deal up there. But it had hit and miss fortunes, let's put it that way.
Feast or famine.
Yeah, the oil literally would be flowing or the oil wouldn't be flowing, and then they closed the roundhouse. Fortunately, the roundhouse survived.
I'm so glad because it's so nearly complete.
It's I think the best example of a Union Pacific Roundhouse left. It was turned into a tank car facility, and that saved it.
Right.
And then they gave it to the city of Evanston, who started many years ago the long haul restoration of it. But one of the fun things that they do there is the annual train show.
That's so much fun.
Put on by the Hostlers, who also do the Ogden train show. The two best train shows in Utah. This one's not really in Utah, but it's almost in
close.
Utah.
Just across the border.
But they hold it here inside that part of the roundhouse that has been renovated into something of a convention center.
Right.
But part of their plan for the roundhouse is to make at least part of the roundhouse into a railroad museum.
And that will be a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh. And their first major project here is the restoration of Union Pacific 4420.
Isn't that neat?
The original shop switcher
from
this roundhouse. And it was put on display for, 50 years? First in front of the courthouse and then later in a city park. But in spite of the elements here, it not only survived, it's one of the best quality restorable locomotives I think we've ever seen.
Right.
They pulled it straight out of the park, and they're doing an inspection now, and it's nearly perfect. We came up and visited it when it was in the park.
Right.
Just to see, how it was doing.
Yes.
But we realized at that time that it was actually mechanically, it doesn't look really good.
No,
but if you got your nose right down in there, it was solid as a rock.
Right.
And it looked like all of the mechanism was in perfect condition.
Yes.
And we thought, man, this is a very restorable locomotive. Anyway, last December, they decided to bring it over to the Evanston Roundhouse, and there it is.
Right.
So once we heard that they had done that, of course, we immediately drove up here again.
Exactly.
Even though it was the 1st of December, just before Christmas, but it sat outside here for a little while they figured out the engineering on exactly how to get it through the door
Right.
and into the shop, because there are no tracks anymore going into the locomotive stalls. Would have been fun to see them actually moving it.
Right. They're pretty secret about that.
Well, sometimes you have to keep your cards kind of close to your chest. You don't want too many people coming around getting in the way. But once we heard that it had been moved, boy, we were right up here to check it out.
Right.
And then we heard that they had moved it inside.
Right.
And that was just in March
Right.
that they brought it inside and started tearing it down for restoration.
It's so funny to see them move a locomotive this way out on the highway.
It's amazing.
I know. It's just, it gets attention.
Yeah, and they brought John Ramash in, again, just to sort of supervise, because he's done this so many times.
Yes.
And then shoving it into the roundhouse
Right.
was no mean feat, because, again, the tracks don't go in there.
No.
So I'm not quite sure how they went about that, but there you go. They did it.
They managed somehow.
They managed to get it inside. Anyway, as soon as they got it inside, they started tearing it down.
Right.
And started the restoration on it. And like I say, right now it looks like it's going to come together pretty well. It has to go back on. Anyway, they've started pulling off the side rods, and they pulled the cylinder head and opened up the valve chest, and everything looks brand new inside.
Well, that's neat.
And the boiler, well, that's always the scary part. And of course, there's always going to be some corrosion in here, but as it turns out, not bad at all.
Doesn't look too bad.
And it looks like it's going to go right together.
They're going to have to get some new gauges and everything.
Yeah, vandals have had their way with it.
Either that or they just took them off when they were at the park.
That's a possibility. Oddly, the thing that gets stolen most often, the bell,
Yes.
was still there.
Yes.
Nobody nabbed the bell, and the headlight.
Right.
Those are items that usually get stolen. They've got a reasonable facility here. They at least have an inspection pit. They don't have any kind of overhead crane.
No.
But at least they're in out of the weather.
That's true.
Which here in Evanston is a big plus.
Well, when it's not blizzarding, it's usually blowing.
Yeah, and it can get hot up here too.
It does. It can get really hot.
And especially this year.
Yes.
Rosh's doggy. The light is perfect. Well, it has to go back on, They finished up the outside of the building.
They did. I love the look.
Oh man, everything out here is perfect. They've still got a lot to do inside, and they've got to figure out exactly what they're going to do with the landscaping and so on. They've got the turntable bridge fully operational and restored.
Right.
All in all, it's a spectacular facility here.
I just love the look. The windows, everything.
I hope they have a lot more conventions and so on up here, because this is great. Anyway, back to the train show.
Oh, that's neat. Look at all this.
Isn't this fun? I mean, this is just a classic. It's usually the same railroads that come up. We have the Sherman Hill guys who always come in all the way from Cheyenne.
Right.
And then a lot of the local clubs in Salt Lake and Ogden.
Right.
It's just fun.
It is.
A lot of modular railroads like this, and a lot of other things going on, presentations and dealers and just typical train show stuff.
Exactly.
But boy, have we been missing this because all these shows have been canceled for the last year.
Right.
And now we're back in business.
Exactly.
It's nice to see cabooses on trains.
Yes.
Isn't that neat? One of my favorite things to check out are the brass dealers.
Oh, yes. Look at all of this.
You know, as a collector of brass going clear back to the 1960s, I've just always loved brass.
It's really neat.
It hasn't held its value. Well, it's
really?
held its value, but with inflation, that means it's actually going down. I mean, those cabooses were for sale for the same price as a tank of gas.
Oh, my.
That's kind of unprecedented, but a lot of these cars are for sale for under $100 and often well under $100.
Wow.
So if you wanted to get into collecting brass,
And now's the time.
now's the time to do it. Prices have never been lower, which isn't very good for those of us who have big collections. But who cares? I'm not planning to sell anything.
No.
I'm planning to buy things. And of course, I was just really oogling this stuff. Check this out.
I love that. Look at how neat.
It's so... And for those of you who are not familiar with brass, this stuff is all handmade.
Yes.
In very, very small production runs. Each of these models pretty unique.
Yes.
And that's why they're so fun to collect. And it's always been a very expensive hobby. This one almost followed us home.
Oh, I can see why. That's cute.
An SP shop switcher.
Yeah.
Oh my heck, those are just so cool. The $350 price is right in line, but you know, I need another brass locomotive like I need a hole in the head, so I just left it behind.
Oh, dear.
But look at they have narrow gauge.
They do.
There were two different brass dealers here, and oh my gosh, it's tempting.
It is.
It's tempting.
It is.
And of course, there's always a good collection of just sort of garden variety stuff.
Right.
Dating clear back to the 1960s and so on. Nothing rare or unusual about it, but just really fun.
Right.
And the Tool Man.
Yes.
I don't think we have ever gone to a train show where we haven't picked up at least one thing.
Oh, absolutely.
And here again, look what they've got.
Yes, they're hard to find.
They're hard to find, and you use a lot of them, so we immediately grab that.
Yes.
Now, check this out.
Oh, dear.
Early 60s Plasticville models.
Those are so cool.
You know, back in the day, they were so disrespected, and now people are collecting them like crazy. The value's going through the roof, and it's the box art.
I was just going to say the box art is so fascinating.
And you would never build, but look at this.
Yes, that's a rare one.
The corral.
Yes.
You just don't see the
No.
corral ever.
No.
And that one's practically mint. I mean, it's like new.
Get your cows still in a bag. It's never been used, and it's a 50-year model that, you know, that's what all these were.
Yeah.
50-year and none of them have been ever put together. All this stuff is.
That's perfect. It's mint.
Uh-huh. Well, I don't know about mint, but it's like new.
It's like new, yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so, yeah, this particular one, and to find this, even the find one with all the corral pieces.
Right.
And then throw the cows in there,
Yeah.
you know?
Wow.
Yeah. There's
The
two.
box is good. The box is good. I like that. There's two of them?
Huh?
You said there's two of them?
No.
Oh.
Well, there's two that are very hard to find.
Oh, I see.
This and the water vein. Those two, you know, are hard to find, all in good boxes and everything. And all these are the same way. I just bought 5, 6 of them that had never been put together.
Oh, wow.
Uh-huh.
Perfect.
You know, still got your curtains are on the thing, and all the pieces and parts are all still, you know, still in their bags.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
I had to
nice.
pay for them, but it's
Sure,
like,
of course.
oh, back, you know, the school, yeah. I guess it was 2, 6,
I had this
7
one.
pieces, because here is the paint set,
Yeah.
you know, and the paint set's
All
still
sealed.
sealed in.
Yeah. I had this one on my layout
Uh-huh.
in '62.
Uh-huh.
Now we also had some of these early Atlas kits.
Uh-huh.
Some of my favorite kits of all time.
Right.
And they're readily available. But I'm tempted at times to just grab one of these and build it.
That one right there.
the train station and
Yes.
the platforms, and especially the signal building. They didn't make a whole lot of kits back then, but all of them were great. Oh, and look, tin plate.
Oh,
This is your favorite.
it is.
And cabooses.
Yes, look at all
Caboose.
this. Yes, cabooses.
There's just something about early tin plate. I mean, how can you not love
Oh, I love it.
early tin plate? It is just so much fun. Just stamped tin models from the very early days of model railroading. Oh, look.
I found this, and it's just like the T-shirts that we have. It's the same railroad, and it's like, I've got to have that.
And it's a beautiful tin model.
It is.
So that had to follow us home.
Yes, and the price was great.
This is the UTCA Club, and they do 3-rail, Lionel, O-scale railroading. Really fun stuff.
Right.
What's that?
I recognize this building right here.
Yeah.
The Winter Store. This guy sat in the garage for many years.
What did?
This building, unless somebody else has built the Winter Store.
Uh,
It was Al Badham.
you know Steve?
Yep.
And that's where I got it.
Yeah, Al built it. Then he gave it to me to store it for him. That's so neat. I hate to see him breaking down his railroad, but I understand the thinking for sure.
Yeah, so all these came from.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see Steve's structure models after he started dismantling his railroad.
Right.
They're popping up all over the place.
They are.
Another Al building. Al built so many of the buildings on Steve's layout. I think Low Taft was, yeah, I'm pretty darn sure that was Alabama. That built that.
Well, I probably have, I don't know how many more at home.
Yeah.
I got a lot.
Recognize the Star Mill?
Yes.
Al did such a fabulous job on this.
Oh, I love that.
And we went down and explored the actual building. I'll put a link in the description to that show.
Finally down with.
This is the modular railroad of our friends at Wasatch N-Scale.
Right.
Bob and Karen Gerald and a bunch of other really nice people.
Right.
But what a neat modular railroad.
I love this, and I really like the way she does her pine trees.
Oh man, they're really...
She's got that nailed.
Well, the whole railroad, and it runs perfectly.
It does.
They actually do prototype operations on it because it runs well enough, and the switching and everything, you can do prototype operations on the railroad. Pacific Fruit Express, I love it. People don't ask for that one. Well, this is fun. New module here. I love the New England. I assume that's New England.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looks like New England. Oh, here comes another train.
You got your vacation there.
No, I didn't do this part. These are those guys who come down from Cheyenne every year.
I know. I love their stuff.
The Sherman Hill Model Railroad Club. It's quite a jaunt for them.
It is. And their models are so Wyoming.
They're so Wyoming. Well, what a great club. To get up to the Cheyenne show. So you just have to know what it is. Well, while we were in the area, we thought we'd drive some grade.
Yes.
This is actually the old original Union Pacific grade from 1869.
It is.
And that's actually going to be Tuesday's show.
Right.
So you wanna make sure you get to see that. So pop on over to the channel, and if you're not a subscriber, you want to subscribe so you can follow up with us on Tuesday when we put that show up. And the easy way to do that is to click the blue button coming up just now.
Oh!
Well, we're not sure how you found this video on the internet. We hope you didn't find it boring. And we will see you on Tuesday as we drive this incredible old grade. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye-bye.